All right, welcome back to Game On, your show where we bring you everything, all the excitement, all the conversations, all the drama, everything that makes the Premier League the most exciting league or the most followed league in world club football. My name is Joseph Faulkner. I'm welcoming you all to the show. We've got a very, very, very huge show lined up for you today. We're going to touch on a lot of very, very interesting topics. So you want to keep, just enjoy this ride with us. But guys, this is what we beg for every week. That you need to, every time we come back here, you need to share this with your network. You need to share this with everybody around you. Click on the notification button so that every time we drop new content, you can, you'll be notified. Two of you that, and I know these two people that, okay, so Shegun, I'm deliberately talking to Shegun Shikomaya, one of my very good friends. Every week he keeps coming to ask me, have you guys dropped another one? Guy, just click on that notification button, subscribe, so that every time we drop new content, you are notified. So you don't come and start harassing me Friday afternoon or Friday evening asking, have you guys dropped a new content? But guys, just share it with your network, and let's build a community out here, community of very, very realistic fans, right? All right, I've got my friend Eddie on this one. Eddie, how are you doing this weekend?
I'm doing well, Kali. Welcome to the show, everyone. What an exciting weekend we have ahead of us. Lots and lots and lots of critical positions in the table could be decided this weekend. So I'm very excited to talking about this. And guys, remember what we do, right? Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, to this channel, because we cannot do this without you. So keep subscribing. Share it with everyone that you know, your friends, your neighbors, your family people you're dating, people you're scoping, people that owe you money. Share with all of them. They'll be all happy that you did. So let's get into the show, guys.
All right, let's get into the show. We're going to start with this interesting one because I found it very funny. If it had happened on the 1st of April, I would have thought it was a joke, of some sort. And that's Frank Lampard returning to Chelsea. And I'm going to put this to you, Eddie. Was that a knee-jerk reaction, or is there any sense in Lampard returning as the gaffer at Chelsea?
Okay, so I'm going to look at this from very different perspective. I'll look at it from the fans' perspective. I'll look at it from Frank Lampard's perspective and the club's perspective. So let's start from the club, right? It doesn't show, good for planning by the club, right? It looks like a knee-jerk reaction from the club's position, because you had a coach there that had about 10 games to the end of the season, right? We already knew that this season was just going to be a bit more of an experimentation, for Chelsea. They already sacked the manager early on in the season. They brought in bucket loads of players. Those players needed to get chemistry. It was always going to be an experimental season, right? Chelsea are not in danger of getting relegated. And to be honest, being out of the Champions League or Europe might actually do them, a good favor, allow them to actually be positioned to make a good run next season. So for me, I just thought it was very, very strange and dubious by the club to just get rid of Porter, but more importantly, to seem like they didn't have an actual, answer to that, right? So from the club's perspective, it doesn't look planned. It doesn't look calculated. It looks very, very, confusing, especially on the back of the fact that the owner came out to say this was a long-term project. Now, of course, we know that in football, wins, are the currency that we operate in. If you win games, it changes things. When you lose game, it changes things. However, it still felt to me 10 games to the end of the season. I don't know what Chelsea are trying to get, at the end of the season. What are they fighting for right now? Because they can't get top four. That's not possible, right? They can't be relegated. They're nowhere near for the title. So, it was more of, okay, let's, have a good performance to the end of the season. And I'm sure Graham Potter could actually do that for them. Now, they've not been playing badly if you watch their games. They've just not been putting the ball at the back of the net. So let's move, to Frank Lampard's perspective. Obviously, from Frank Lampard, he lost the club, right? So he's that kind of, he strikes me as, whatever Chelsea wants, I would do it for Chelsea. Even though from a career perspective, I don't know the upside for him, because he's a temporary manager, in Chelsea, going to the end of the season. So what if he does very well? Let's just say that he wins all the games from now to the end of the season. What happens? Are they going to give him the role for real? After sacking him less than 3 years ago, right? Or are they going to take the role and give it to somebody else? But let's say he doesn't. Let's say he struggles like Graham Potter does. What happens to him now? Does he dent his reputation to getting another job in the Premier League? So, I mean, other than the financial compensation from Lampard's perspective, I'm kind of thinking, okay, I know that you love the club and everything, and the fans will continue to hold you in high regard, so maybe that for him is something that he cherishes, above everything else. That might be the case. And from a fan perspective, fans, the nostalgia, of having a legend come back to the club. I think a lot of fans felt that there was unfinished business for Lampard because he was in the club at the time when they had the embargo. So they really couldn't bring in players. So he had to bring in, he could be credited for bringing in the likes of Mason Mount into the forefront of the Chelsea team. So they are thinking, well, what can Frank Lampard do with good players? So that question was always there. So fans are, some fans are like, look, he's one of us. He's come back to the club, and let's just see what happens. But Chelsea is a very strange club right now. So nothing that they do should really surprise anyone. They've bucked the train in terms of what people expect as consistency, for managers in the club, and they've gained success through it. So we have to wait and see whether this is going to be another masterstroke from Chelsea.
Well, we might be they might end up proving us wrong, but everybody gives him this what would I call it? This makes excuses for Frank Lampard saying, when he took over at the club, there was this embargo on signing players, so they couldn't sign. But that was just his first season. Eventually, before he was fired, they brought in some players, and he was fired because they weren't getting results, despite how much money was spent some months before he was fired. So I look at them and I'm asking myself a question. Okay, is it a case of put Frank Lampard in charge for the long term, let him build something, because everybody now talks about the Arteta project, the way the club supported it, but Arteta was very clear what he wanted to achieve. It was clear, everything was in black and white. Everything he wrote, in his presentation, everything he put out in his presentation was exactly the way he was implementing them. So there was you could follow the different roadmaps. Every road signing that is put there that, okay, this will be a reference point. By this time, I'll have achieved this. By this time, I'll have achieved this. And it kept going. That's why now the club can comfortably say, the Arsenal project is way ahead of schedule, because they are yardstick to measure every level of the growth, But then in Lampard's case, I don't think that was the case when he was there the first time. But now you're giving him a 7-month contract. Or rather, no, it's actually a 9-game contract. He's going to be there till the end of the season, till a new manager is found. Because I heard they're talking to Gallardo, they're talking to Enrique, they've spoken to Nagelsmann, they're talking to so many other managers. So I feel like Boli at the top is showing that it doesn't actually understand football, and then it doesn't have people around him who are advising him properly. First of all, the number of players he brought in the summer, I think it was outrageous. I think the amount spent on players, I think it's just like that rich man's child who has all this money at his disposal. He has access to a lot of money, and then he just enters the supermarket and he wants to buy everything right in front of him. I felt it. Whatever signings they did in the summer they didn't think about the football side. They just thought about, what, this player is good, bring him on. That player is good, bring him in. They didn't think about how they will fit together as a team. And that was one of the problems I think Graham Potter had. I don't think Graham Potter is a terrible coach. I just felt that he's gotten to a club where he's not in total control of the football. And he's a proper football manager, not a proper team manager. So he's got there. He's been at a loss as to how to manage the in your words, the bucket load of players that were brought in the summer. So he couldn't achieve whatever he needed to achieve with the team. So I feel like they need a manager who can come in there, send a lot of the players out on loan. First of all, sell a lot of the players, send some out on loan, put together a 25 to 27 or 30-man team that you can manage till the end of next season. Because if you keep everybody in there, there's going to be that confusion. It's going to be, you're going to be confused. You've got to be able to narrow the team down to a 25 squad list or 30 that you can rotate till the end of the season. And I think that I don't think Lampard is the man that can give you that, because I don't think he's had the sort of training, the sort of tutelage that has given him that kind of experience to do what needs to be done. You look at everybody talks about Arteta, but Arteta has had to learn from a manager who is ruthless, a manager who can chase a Yaya Toure from his team despite the noise around him. That's why Arteta can come to a team like Arsenal and bench Ozil and get rid of Ozil, bench Aubameyang, banish him and get rid of him. Despite the outrage and backlash from the fans, he stuck to his guns. The team stuck with him, and today the results are there. I don't think Lampard is the kind of guy that can come into that side today and look at who is the biggest players in the side and say, "Oh, you know what? You're not performing. I can bench you," or you know what? Get rid of you because you're not right for the psyche or the kind of attitude we're building in the team. So I think the signing of Lampard or the reappointment of Frank Lampard, I don't think it was a well thought through, appointment. The season is over. Yeah, it's just going to go there, just earn some bucks till the end of the season. Is a legend, at the club. No matter what happens, fans will still love him. The fact that he's even accepted to do this at these very troubled times for the club is going to be another thing that will, endear him to the club some more. And just imagine he goes on to not lose a game till the end of the season. His legendary status, is cast in gold. Then the problem will now be, should we give him the job on the long run, for the long term, or should we go ahead and look for, that manager that can come in, beat everybody into shape, and put together a team that we really need as a club. But I sincerely don't think Todd Boehly understands what he's doing. He needs to get in a technical director who understands football so well and can relate with him and advise him properly on, taking football decisions. But then, what do we know? So many times we've come here and said all sorts, and we've been proven wrong over and over again. But we'll wait till the end of the season to see what Lampard is able to do with this side. And that's Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard back at Chelsea. Is that a wise decision from where you are sitting? Is that a wise decision, and why?
I don't know what Chelsea is really thinking, seriously. I don't understand what's happening with them, seriously. I heard that and I was wondering, what? Why then sack Potter, who you could have used for the entirety of the remaining... See, the season is gone already. The season is gone. The same Potter has taken them to Champions League quarterfinal, right? So what do you think the only chance they have to redeem this season is the Champions League? And Potter clearly has been doing well in Champions League. He has taken them up to this stage. The league is gone. There is nothing you're salvaging in the league. There is nothing that we won't even get an Europa spot. So why sack and bring in Lampard for the remainder? Why not play Potter for the remainder of the season and take the time to start shopping for a coach? At the beginning of the season, get a new coach who starts executing his program. Why sack? Actually, this guy, they were doing well in Champions League. They are still there. Somehow he has control of what he can do. Actually, give him the chance to complete this. It just doesn't make sense. I don't see what is Lampard coming to do? I can't even understand. I can't wrap my head around the decision. I don't know what is really wrong with the management, seriously. I don't know their thought process. It beats me. I don't know what else to say.
He's a club legend. All right, guys, let's quickly go to our fantasy teams for the weekend. At the end of the season, maybe we'll understand why Todd Boehly has brought Lampard back, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
At all, it doesn't
make any sense. Even Eddie, that likes to play devil's advocate, couldn't rationalize.
I can't understand.
Maybe Femi would have helped us.
Kylie, do you know it's even a slap on the assistant coach? Most
Oh,
times
yes,
when you sack a coach, you allow the assistant to prosecute to the end. You know, you give him. It's not like they are going on relegation. There is nothing else. Allow the assistant coach, give him a run. That was how Di Matteo and the rest. You know, they sacked.
That's how they
sacked, and Di Matteo took them and won Champions League with them. You know, and that was why they offered him a 1-year contract. Then what happened? Why do you have an assistant coach when you now bring somebody to come and prosecute the remaining 10 matches? Does it make sense?
You have to ask Todd Bowley. Because I thought I was the only one who didn't understand the whole situation.
It just doesn't make sense.
Apparently, we are plenty.